Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Officiating. On the show this evening is my mucker Bridgeman, and we'll be joined shortly by young Robert. Evening, Bridge. How we doing, mate?
Oh, good evening, Officiating. Everybody okay in the panel here? And the techie boys in the background. Could I give a big shout out to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world? Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio.
How you doing, Bridge?
I'm okay, pal. Thank you very much. I'm just starting to recover from last Sunday. Wow.
Aye, it's
wow.
They say it's the hope it kills you, mate. You know, I've said it before. We'll lose and we'll draw football matches again, but it's 1 week we're 2-0 down, fight back to 2 weeks. Next week we're 2-0 up and proceed to grab a draw at the jaws of victory, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible, just incredible. Have you spoke about it? I haven't been on it.
No, we never mentioned it, mate. We talked about the weather last night.
Aye, right, okay. I thought we were absolutely magnificent in the first half. They did everything I wanted them to do. Come out, play up there in their park, play up their side of the park, get up there and do it. And we did it, and I thought it was just fantastic. Scored 2 unbelievable goals, by the way, the big man, unbelievable goals. And then we go and throw all away, and I've got no idea why, no idea. I've got a couple of thoughts. I don't know whether you're interested, but
give us your thoughts, mate.
I think that we made a dreadful mistake taking Nadiri off for a start, and we weren't playing with the same, shall we say, the same tempo in our game in the second half. And I thought the manager would do something about that, but he didn't. I'm afraid the people he brought on, don't know, I wasn't going to say they never even ignited. They didn't do anything. I thought that Diamondi was atrocious, by the way. He came on, he was atrocious. However, but we were very unlucky right at the very end. Of course, we should remember that they've got all the luck in the world, and whatever happens, the referees appear to give them plenty of time or a dodgy decision, and the dodgy decision won it. I thought, I'm not saying it didn't hit his hand. I'm saying it was a dodgy decision. If that was us, if it was for us, we wouldn't have got it. I don't
deny you. History teaches you that when the guy punched the ball at the park, then it was the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
What I would say, Bridge, if it had happened at the other end, and I would have seen that back in VAR, I'd have been looking for a penalty. Yeah, I never noticed it the first time round. I don't think I'm alone in that. But I'd have been looking for a penalty. Whether it's a penalty is up for debate, but I've got to say something. I don't think anybody knows the rules anymore.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I think. Anyway, we've also been joined by young Robert. I'll accept a note for your mother. I think she's due one tonight, Robert. Yes.
Yes, indeed, boys. I'll get it to you, mate. Don't worry. Apologies. How are we? Hope you're both well. Evening, Bridgeman.
Tell Robert good night. Good night, or good evening, should I say? Not good night.
Aye, how's Robert?
I am okay, mate. I'm okay. Still disappointed, of course, from the weekend, which I'm sure you're starting to discuss already. Certain topics, I believe, the handball.
I was just saying that Bridge touched on it, and obviously it was a bit of a sickener. I mean, we talked about it after the game on Sunday, Robert. I hadn't seen it back too much, but it's only my take on it. You might have a different view. If it happened up the other end and I seen that in VAR, I'd been looking for a penalty. I also said there, just as a caveat, I don't think anybody knows the rules anymore, or the directions, I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, it was never deliberate. I'll say that. The big Sterling, yeah, there was no way he meant it. He just went up, got himself in that shape, and it happened to hit his horn, mate. Yeah.
Well, as you're saying there, mate, nobody seems to know the rules anymore. And I think that's the nail on the head, if you're being honest, because for a number of years, the handball in particular has been a very grey area. And they tried to reword it to improve the game so that there wasn't any of these kind of dubieties. But as I said on Sunday, mate, you've heard it for a number of times, natural position of the arm. Where's Sterling putting his hand there? He's put his hand up to protect himself because Butland's there as well as Maeda. So is it natural? For me, it is. I think that's why it was subjective by VAR to ask Beaton to go and look at it and not a factual overturn. I'm interested to hear the audio because if that is then subjective, you then question, well, where does it become natural position and when does it become unnatural position? For referees to dictate that, it's very hard to do. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but the rules don't make it any easier to try and understand it.
I'll ask you the question I asked myself. If it happened the other end, would you be looking for a penalty?
Oh, of course you would. But you know for a fact, if that happened at our end, it wasn't a penalty. And if it happened at another stadium, it wasn't going to be a penalty.
That's a whole different debate, mate. That's a whole different debate, yeah. But I get it, mate. I get it. What about
Can I come in on that a minute? Can I come in? Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
I feel quite strongly about this. They took the penalty. Our goalkeeper made 3 saves, and eventually that guy put it in the back of the net. And there was 2 Celtic players there trying to get the ball in the back of the net. Not one blue jersey. Not one blue jersey.
I've got an answer to that, mate.
Go on then, pal.
I don't think my set peak coach has done the penalty kicks defending yet.
Oh my God. Don't say that. Anybody that plays football knows you follow, get in with the ball. Get in with the ball.
10 years of age, Bridge. 10 years of age.
Aye, absolutely.
Yes. Oh, mate, it was just, listen, if somebody's chased behind them and they get a toe in front of it first, yeah.
Aye.
But that look was terrible, Robert, wasn't it? It was terrible.
It was, mate. It was. Again, I highlighted it on Sunday as well. The reaction time of our players was poor. Having watched it back, you see Maeda coming from behind 2 of our players to then go in front of it. I think he actually was by Romans, who I thought had a good game. And I'm not going to say it's his fault because that's not fair. But he runs and then he almost stops to think that, I don't know what if he's expecting maybe the referee to blow for this thing where you can't touch the ball after a rebound, all these kind of rules. Again, who knows the rules? But he kind of stops, and I think that cost him that split second. But it wasn't my idea to put it in, it was Satati. But you just expected a bit better reaction from your players after the initial save. I think the second save Butland makes, it's almost, he didn't mean it because his hand's there for balance almost to get back up. So whether the players didn't expect him to make that second save, yeah, maybe looking for answers and clues here or excuses, but ultimately the reaction time was overall poor from that penalty kick.
Listen, you've got to do everything you can. You've got to sprint that 12 yards, well, it's more than that, 18 yards to see what happens, mate. You take a chance. I understand now with VAR, mate, if you're a defender and you get it wrong and they miss it, you might end up with a retake if you've over encroached. So you maybe can't do it. Ian Bridge would have done, started running for the halfway line and got maximum momentum and just kept running, yeah.
And a wee fight in between.
It was a poor look. It was a poor look, wasn't it?
Aye, mate. It was. Again, you're looking just for wee kind of answers here, but ultimately, you kind of say Nelson, it wasn't good on viewing.
Yeah. Listen, Bridge. I get that. It was a game of 2 halves. We've discussed it. The boy Hatati came on in a decent game. They started doing both wings and causing us problems. We just, the learning curve for Danny Rowe, I think, is you've got to react. Yeah, and the week before he'd done everything he could to get his goal, scored his 2, and ultimately not enough. But you have to react in some games when people change it, even if you're on top. It's we were 2-0 up, and we should have been able to see the game out. But I'll say it again, Robert. I said it on Sunday, and my mind's no changed. The big moment in that whole game wasn't the penalty kick. It was the first goal, mate, because that was the thing that totally flipped the momentum, and everybody watching at home in the stadium Rangers elated, became nervous. Bridge, then Robert.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I thought, I was so pleased we got to half time, and we were in the ascendancy anyway, and I thought we looked really good, but we gave away that goal, as you say, their first goal, and after that, but it was a really poor goal to lose to a certain extent, simply because we're winning 2-0. And why are we giving them room? Why are we doing this? And all the usual stuff that you could come away with, and all of a sudden they blast the ball across the goal, and it's got the balls in the net. Simple as that. And there's nobody's any idea why and how and so on and so forth. It was just sheer pressure. They were under pressure. They put us under pressure, and so on and so forth. And they got a goal. No, I don't think it was a good goal, but they got a goal. And
it was a nice chip by the boy.
Oh yes.
Yes, I'm gonna put it in. I think I put it in last night. It was actually young Robert here that sent me it. And Bridgeman, you will not believe. I'll let you see the still. And if young Robert can also post it maybe in social media, so that it's no good radio if we're talking about a picture, Robert. But we had every player in the box bar Chermiti. Every Rangers player was in the box, and there was 4 Celtic players in the box. Yeah, and I just think the setup was all right. And the leader of that defence should be John Souttar, mate, who I thought in the second half, I'm not going to say he was appalling, but I thought, in my opinion, had a poor game. And it was a catalyst for the springboard for them getting back in it. But I'll see if I can get this still in for you, Bridgeman, so you can...
Right, go for it.
It's only right that he gets upset, Robert, as well as me and you, innit?
Exactly, mate. Especially from a centre-half's point of view. I'm sure Bridge would analyse this and be all over it.
There it's there, Bridgeman. Have a look at that, mate.
Yeah. 9 Rangers players in and around that box. 9 Rangers players. And I can see just in front of them, there's only 2 Rangers Celtic players. Oh, with the wee guy at the back, so of course 4 Rangers players. Celtic players are.
Nine players. Everybody's in the box, bar Chermiti.
That's just it's dreadful. Absolutely. We have got no idea when we're being attacked. We just don't seem to be able to do anything. I don't know whether by the time when they put pressure on our players' lungs go, maybe they don't know what to do and get nonsense comes out. I just can't believe it. I seriously can't believe it, Oxford. I'm disgusted with it, really. And I hope.
Oh. As you went there, Robert, and you come, mate.
Fox, I actually looked back at it as well, mate, and obviously looking at the still image, you can name the players, so I will post it on the socials as well, just so the listeners can see what we're talking about, but it's a domino effect.
It's no good radio if we don't, mate. We said that last night.
It's not, mate, but it's a domino effect because Tuur Rumens, the left back, is over the almost the right back position, and then you've got Souttar, who's marking nobody, Fernandez, who's on Maeda, and Raskin, who's on Tierney. Now, from the still image, Raskin looks like he's in a position that he could be able to deal with it, but he's also got the guy at the back post to keep an eye on as well. If everybody just moves over one man, then they're man marked even better from that position. But to get a goal from that position, looking at a still image, mate, you wonder how when there's that many bodies in that area. And when he actually made the header, he had about 2 or 3 yards of space because Raskin is watching the back post as well.
And if Souttar goes to his left, Fernandez goes to his left, yeah.
Yep.
And that means Fernandez goes closer to Tierney. Tierney can't get the ball, mate. And then Souttar's picking up Maeda. And Fernandez is picking up the guy in the middle, and Raskin's got the guy outside him.
It looks more compact. It looks like more a defensive unit that you're not going to give a chance away. But what's done is done, Ox. It's the thing. We'll sit and we'll analyse and we'll critique where we think it could have been better. But as you say, that was a game-changing moment, and it just shows you what momentum can do in football.
That's what happened, mate. That if they hadn't got that goal, then listen, you'll never be able to support your argument, mate. That could have been out for a goal kick, and they could have scored 4 goals after it. You'll never be able to answer it, mate. But in my opinion, that was a big moment where the momentum and the nerves kicked in, yeah.
Yeah, I think our players panicked a wee bit after that, to be honest. They really did. What can you say? What can you say? Very
No, it's
disappointing.
done. Right, we get the phone lines open, Jess.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Can I just give a shout out to the Fox? That's all I'm going to say. A shout out to the Fox. You here, Bridge?
Here, pal. Here.
Right, listen, look, it's gone now, and you're right. You know, I'll get Bridges' view on it more overall, Robert. Then you can chip in. Obviously, we've said we're bit, and I've been on the last couple of nights. Of course, you can go wherever you want me, but we're gone. We've got to look forward. We can't do a lot for it, and hopefully, as a group and a management group, we've learned from it. Bridgeman.
Yeah, 100%. Aye, we need to. Well, obviously, Sunday's going to be another huge game, and this time they've got half. They're going to just about half. No, not half the stadium, but you know what I mean. They're going to have the whole Broomloan, so they'll be, shall we say, noisy. Let's put it that way. I just think we've got to look forward, and hopefully the manager and his coaches are speaking to the players and going through and show them that. Just see that still you just showed us. Look at this, guys. Look, this is good. This is just what they got before the guy touches the ball to cross it. Look what's happened. They're all you guys there, and that ball came across, and the guy headed it straight in. No, wrong. So that kind of thing, without getting him too much trouble. They must have given him into trouble before this. So I think he's got to go through the whole game, particularly that bit. That was a really bad bit, and I think the other thing is he's got to look at himself when he's going to make substitutions and the reason for it, and let the fans know. I don't know what the reason was for getting the Naderi off. I don't know. But I thought that.
Bridgeman, yeah, I think.
You think so?
I think we can totally have him because he's an enthusiastic player. He stepped up a level. I've got to be honest. It's arguably the biggest game he's played in. He's got him. The work rate in the first half and the closing down and working for the team, he put a lot in it. I like the big man. He's maybe not done a lot in front of goal, but there's something about him, and whether it's going to pan out and is the answer to all our prayers, I don't know. But I like him. His enthusiasm and energy are great, but I think he was getting tired and we needed another body in there. And you're right, Diamante done nothing when he came on. Never influenced the game much at all. Robert?
No, he didn't, mate. He didn't. And I think, again, that was a wee bit of frustration as well from us because we've seen how we changed the game in the last fixture at Parkhead. Obviously, the first half, it was totally different from what it was on Sunday. They dominated us. Arguably, should have been out of sight. Again, similarities to this weekend. You kind of felt that when they had that control of the game and the dictating the tempo and the pressure was mounting, Diamante coming in to the middle of the park made sense. But it never had the effect that we wanted and nor Dan the Real wanted either, mate. Which I think is a frustration because it has been a player since probably that last Old Firm game where he picked up and he brought urgency, intensity to the middle of the field. Not always great, but just something different. And you want them to get a foothold of that game, to just try and take control back, especially in the middle of the park, and get the pressure released and try and get us up the park. But it never came to fruition. And I think that, again, also disappointing because he has shown that he is capable of doing it.
I thought as the game went on, near the end, Shamiti ran his race, but Young Moore and Olsen, you could have took Olsen off for which he did there. I thought he maybe got that right. And I thought that Mikey Moore, as the game went on, again, the work rate in the first half for the young lad was magnificent. Magnificent. You know, and his attitude and application and having a few knocks as well. You know, so I think that's what maybe happened with two in particular. Naderi and Moore, they maybe ran their race as such. And One thing it does give me concern is that I've liked him as well as Big Tucci in the midfield. And I see that he seems to hit the wall around about there, Matt Bridge.
Yeah, these things could be true because they're January signings. And we know they're not got through a pre-season. They've not got the build in their thighs unless they've done one with other clubs. I expect they will not be 100% fit. And here we go. We're starting to see. You mentioned two already, Nadiri and the big fella. I thought it's a marvellous big player, but he's not got the legs to go 90 minutes at the present moment at the pace we're playing football. So I have to agree with you there, and that's sad. But we must have other people available to be able to slot in. You know, when it happens, you get them off, and you get a guy in that can do the exact same thing, and get out there and just get the doggies done. Because what else can you do? You got to go out there and play.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem, mate. And there is an issue. I was going to mention tonight. You're getting the right stage we in it. I think there's players in my squad that my manager doesn't fancy. And there might be some of the players we don't fancy also. Robert?
I think that's a part of it, is, mate. I think the biggest part is when Bridgman says there's somebody come in and do the hard work, the graft, the covering the ground. We don't have another player like that in the middle of the park. I still think we're short. That's the area I thought we'd have maybe added one more in January. Somebody that is a like for like. Connor Barron would have done the job had he obviously been fitting on the bench. He's a guy you'd have brought on. He would run, he would close down, he would get stuck in. We don't have anybody that would do that, Ox. And I think that kind of lies in the problem as well, mate.
That? Did you mean that?
I'm going to say no because I don't know.
Well, short on there by bringing on Conor Barron.
Well, there you go. It sums it up, mate. But that's the kind of, it shows you where we're at still with that middle of the park. And when you're talking about Tucci lasting maybe 60, 65 minutes, how much is that still down to playing two in the middle of the park? Because there's more ground to cover with less bodies. Is that still a factor, a concern?
Doesn't matter which shape you have, they've got to go side to side, walk back, defence, get up there. I get it. Yeah, it's all right, people saying you can do it, but there's only so many sprints you can do, Bridgman.
Oh, aye, absolutely. Obviously, there's no. Sometimes it's just no equal. We've got some really good players, and we've got a fabulous first half out of them, and managed to get 2 goals against our enemy. And that the disappointing thing is that we couldn't hold it. So we couldn't hold it because we couldn't get the possession of the ball, and so on and so forth, and all the other wee things that people see. I just don't think we are in the midfield that we can hold the ball under pressure, and we give ground very quickly, rapidly. In fact, we give ground. And in the first half, we didn't give the ground. We fought for every position. In the second half, we didn't, and that's the biggie for me. And if you're not fighting, and you're not winning first ball or even second ball, and sometimes you're not even getting third ball, and sometimes they played football all the way through us, and we never touched the ball, and they get close to our 18-yard line and had a shot at goal. Not one Rangers player played the ball or get his foot on the ball. Nothing. So these things happen. I know that we could do that to them, and it's bamboozling. But seriously, we can't, as a team that we're trying to achieve, we can't afford not to be able to get the ball and get shoved off and things like that. We can't afford it.
Robert, what would you have done now that you've had time to think about it if you were Danny Rowe?
Are you talking to? Oh, sorry, Robert.
No, you're right, mate. I said in Sunday, Ox, I had no issue with bringing on Diamondi because I felt we needed it. I felt we needed the extra body in the middle of the park. I don't think, I've already said it, I don't think it was a game for Gassama. We weren't getting control of the ball to give him something to run onto, give him the ball wide, hopefully take a man on or just get into space. Whether that was maybe the likes of Bayrami suited more, it's hard to say because in hindsight, you could name any player. The game was going against us. Although we had a strong bench, you can't comfortably sit and say that somebody on the bench was going to be the game changer because the ones that were on the bench were ones that we've not seen do a lot of consistently this season to be confident enough they would come and change the game, change that dynamic and the way it was going. I've got no issue bringing on an extra midfielder. Possibly would have brought on another centre half and went more kind of back five. But then, for me, the reason Danny Rule didn't do that was, personally, I think the Motherwell game was in the back of his mind. He tried to shoot it up then, and it went against him, and we couldn't get out. So was it going to be a repeat there on Sunday? That although we're trying to be solid, there was no out ball. It was just coming back to us.
I
I
never
don't think
thought
I'd have
of
done
it.
a lot different, mate. I don't think I'd have done a lot different if I'm being honest.
I said it last night. I would have the Deary and Diabondi. I could get it, so we went with three in there. But the way this game was going, when we were making the substitutes later on, it would have been Tav and Magoma for me, yeah. And I'd have went 4-5-1, mate. Where you can still go up the park, but you've got a lot of cover in there, mate. And then everybody's close together. And I would have passed on instructions for two players to get tight on two players, mate, in the middle. That's what they had to do. They had to make it aside, stop them playing, because that's where it was all coming from. That's what I would have done. But you could have done that and lost 3 goals. You know, Bridgman, I'll say it again, we're all great in hindsight, yeah. It never crossed my mind watching that game to watch bring on De Giga. I never even thought about it, mate. I was that busy watching the clock, as I'm always a, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, you know. I think what we need to do as a team, right, when we're like that and the players are getting a bit, shall we say, running out of breath, we need to load our midfield. We really need to load our midfield, but we've got to have decent players to come on. You know, we can't bring people on that they're not carrying themselves. They're getting caught out and things like that. They've got to be in midfield in a midfield fight. That's what you're looking for. And I'd have flooded the midfield. I would have definitely flooded the midfield for sure, because that's where you're going to win and lose the game against them. Because they're very, very good at moving the ball and finding the man, which shall we say, we've dreaded watching sometimes our players. Sometimes they can't pick each other up for no reason at all. We don't know what it is, but they do it, and all of a sudden they go, "Oh no, you know, no, it's rubbish," and that's all there is to it. Get it sorted, and that's the way I feel. And so I wouldn't have went 5 at the back or anything like that. I would have went 5 across the midfield. That's what I would have done, and stopped them there.
You're
Because
a tactical genius, Bridge. Robert?
well, thanks, pal.
It is. You both make valid points about flooding the midfield because, as you say, Docs, it was Hatate that changed the game for them. Now, previously in this fixture, it would have been McGregor, but I don't think he was effective as he has been in recent fixtures. It was Hatate, and they were using the left side with Tenecte quite a lot. I was surprised he didn't start, if I'm being honest, but they two changed the game at half-time for them, and that's where the problems were coming from ourselves. We weren't getting close enough to them. That extra body of them having Hatate in the middle of the park allowed them to play through the middle. So I can't disagree with you. I don't know really what I'd have done differently. You could have hit 4-5-1, 5-4-1, whatever, but it's in hindsight, mate. I don't
Exactly.
think MD disagreed really with bringing on Diamondi simply because it's an extra body to cover the ground, but it didn't be effective as it should and could have been.
No, because when I looked at it, I thought Diamondi, I couldn't work out at times where he was playing, mate. Yeah? Because I thought he came on initially, I thought, right, he's went to the left and we went by 3 in there. And then there was times he was in front of Raskin and Tucci. So they were still left with the 2 in there, yeah, against 3. So that was part of the issue for me. So I can understand, but Danny Rowe was trying to do. He said, right, okay, we're swapping the personnel, and they never really tweaked the shape that much. And then Diamondi never got into the game, and then we started. And then obviously Raskin and Termiti tired because we used 13 players. That's the learning curve for Danny for me. We used 13 players in a big game for me. minimum 14 players and you keep one back in case somebody gets hurt. It's part of the game now. The game's changed dramatically beyond belief. And that we never put on arguably three sets of fresh legs we never put on in a game when we were retiring because of the energy and the pace we played in the first half. It caught always a bit. And we could have refreshed three replays. Hindsight again, Bridge.
Oh yeah, like we've played football. We've all played football and to different levels, but it doesn't matter when you're playing football. You do what you do, and if you're going to go against men that can pass the ball, then you've got to get people on that can either block the ball or kick the guy that's passing the ball, and that's all there is to it, in my opinion. Because what you don't want is you don't want any of their forwards to get the ball. It's, to me, it's simplicity. Stop them passing the ball. Many times we lost goals from cross balls because nobody went out and took the ball off the guy, never even tackled him. And I know it makes me sound really petty, but that's what it is to me, really petty. I don't think they used every single sub that they could against us. And that meant fresh men coming on every time, right up to whatever it was, 3 minutes to the end or 4 minutes to the end, to put people on the park, because the tempo against us is good. So they're going to run out of energy very quickly, and it's a huge game. But not only that, they got the advantage of fresh men coming on, and they get the rush up to get the free kick and or the penalty or whatever, the goal. All these things that were going on, that was all because they had fresher people on the pitch. And that wee guy Forrest comes on, he gets 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it causes damage sometimes, you know. In my opinion, we need to play, if we're going to watch people put all their heart into the game up in the first half, then by 60 minutes, we've got to make our mind up whether the guys are running out of steam or they're no. If they think they're running out of steam, get them off or replaced. Simple as that. Not today we don't like them around. They need to be replaced. But we need all the energy we can.
It's part of the game, Bridge.
Aye, absolutely, pal.
You know. Don't know what you think, Robert.
Well, it's something that I've seen since the game, Ox, even up to this morning. I've seen a few kind of comments and posts out there saying we were the team that had the full week of rest. They obviously played midweek, but they looked fitter and fresher than us. We tired very quickly after that first half performance. And it's a great thing to point out, because you know how much effort you put into it mentally, physically. But it does pose a good question of how fit are your players, really?
I think you've seen how fit they were in the first half, mate. I think what happens, goals change games of football, mate. And people's mindsets changes. I mean, your mindset changes, the legs go. Sounds mental, Bridge, but it's true. We've all been there. I can't remember. There was once I was on the losing team, I remember just...
Oh, listen to that rubbish.
I think I was a pre-season game now that I think back, yeah.
Which season?
Don't tell us, you'll age your age away.
Although, you know, we can laugh. We can laugh. But we know how serious a position that puts us in, as far as the league's concerned now.
Made it hard, Bridge, yeah.
Oh, difficult, very difficult. What we're seeing is the team that our manager's got doesn't appear to be solid enough as a team and good enough as a quality-wise to be able to take us the last 12 games, whatever it is. We got a team that's good enough to take us the last 12 games. It doesn't look like it, I'm afraid to say, but I'm shouting and we want to win. But if we beat them on Sunday rather, then it's a different game, different ball game, different outlook, because that's just put them in a cup. But chances are they're going to be up for it as well, and they were up for that one. We didn't expect it, to be honest, because they played midweek rather. So in midfield again, for God's sake, what am I like?
Aye, Austin, I think Somewhat disappointing because of how well we played the first half, you know, and everybody's thinking, right, okay, but we get another goal here and this can be anything. But I'll say it again, goals change games and take ounces out of people's legs, and it's strange. It's strange. Robert?
It brings the question back, Ox, about the word mentality and heart and desire. Obviously, a lot of supporters out there think that some of these players don't have the right mentality in these kind of big games. They go under the pressure, they don't show up. And when you have performances like that, particularly the second half, when you're 2-0 up, you go to 2-2, and you don't see even a few of the players trying as much as they did in the first half, it brings back that question of, are these players' mentality right? And it's one of the ones you can't teach it, you can't coach it. You've either got it or you don't.
I wouldn't fault their effort, mate. I would say that our quality was poor. I don't think we had anybody on that pitch that never put in any effort, even in the second half. I would question their decision making. I would question John Stewart's leadership as a centre half and pivotal in the defence. I would question Raskin and Tucci's working as a team and no chasing the same ball. I'd question that we couldn't keep the ball up front at times, but I wouldn't question any of them for lack of effort. I wouldn't. Maybe I've seen it different for you, mate. Bridgeman, you can separate this, or we can have an arm wrestle.
Go for it. If you're talking to me, but I thought we were magnificent the first half, absolutely magnificent. And you can't fault anybody's effort, even in the second half. You can fault poor play.
Quality.
Sorry?
Our quality.
Aye, well, you know, in the first half we were high quality. The second half not so much, but we're still there. We're still there, and the guys they were pulling everything out, pulling out all the stops, but we left ourselves short, and unfortunately, I thought the opposition got very lucky at the end. So that's all I can say about that. That was our 3-pointer, and we lost it. And through the purpose we threw it away. Not by something bad or daft, but just by ourselves, you know. What an opportunity to get 3 points. What an opportunity. We couldn't hold out for our last 5 minutes. Aye, you're right, pal.
Robert, and listen, mate, if you see it as effort, that's up to you. That's how you see it, mate. Yeah, I just thought we don't pass the ball. We never got the ball forward as quick. And that's when I seen that I would have took Chermiti off. Sorry, no Chermiti. Nardiri, because of the effort he was putting in, because he was sort of coming down, closing their midfield, doing helping out, and then he was getting up to support, and he was getting left and right, and he's covering a lot of yards. Couldn't fault his, I couldn't fault Mikey Moore's. Maybe Olsen, the second half, you know, would you sign him, Robert?
Based on what we've seen, you'd be putting up a bit of a hard argument to say aye, based on what we've seen so far. He is a player that's got potential, but obviously you want to see it, you need to see it before you go and sign the player, because you want to have money for your worth to show that you've made the right deal. I think he's still got to come to the floor, if I'm being honest, mate. I think he's still got to show more in these final games when he's got the opportunity. Let's not forget he got the assist for Chermiti's goal, which has went completely under the radar, if I've been honest with what's happened over the weekend. But he's still got to deliver and show more, mate. One thing I will say though is a lot of your play.
I was talking to a Rangers radio panelist today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't be right if I mentioned his name, but it sounds like bold there, right?
Okay.
And he said that it was a touch of class, and where he directed with Olsen when he moves the ball to get the cross in. And then he says, actually, he thought it was a bad cross because it was Chermiti who had to go back to get the overhead kick. It made it into an assist. And I thought, he's got a point. because it was way behind them, and it was that moments of brilliance, because it was brilliance, that turned into a chance, wasn't it?
It was, and to be devil's advocate, what I'll say is, Scott Wilson's probably done the right thing. He's put it into an area for somebody to go and attack, rather than
That's
trying
it,
to pick
yeah.
somebody out.
I get that, mate. I get that. You don't always pick somebody out. You just put it in. You shut your eyes and take your chance. Yeah,
Exactly, mate.
Bridgman. I'm sorry, Robert. In you go, mate.
Well, what I was going to say as well was, it's probably something that you've seen as well, Oxenbridge, that a lot of our play does come down the left-hand side. So are we using Scott Wilson effectively enough on the right? Because a lot of our play does come down the left. Do we need to start mixing it up and going both ways?
Oh, I'm a great believer. You get the ball of your best player. And our best players were left back at the moment. Anyway, we'll be joined by Billy. Evening, Billy.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, Bill.
Even
How's it
Billy.
going? Listen,
Back with the solids, Billy.
aye, I'm the same. Listen, I've been listening to the show since the weekend, and I've been watching different things on social media, etc., right? I'm going to point a few things out here, right? I'm going to take you back to the Alistair Johnson versus Kilmarnock game, right? A clear handball on the edge of the box when Alistair Johnson, fell down the ball. He was on the ground. The Kilmarnock player hurt the shot. VAR didn't even look at it. It was net bound, right? Then we have another incident with Alistair Johnson. You'll recall this one as well. When Alistair Johnson blatantly pushed the ball with his hand out at Parkhead, if you remember that one. Wally Collum was...
To be fair, Billy, it was just a one-on, wasn't it?
Aye. But what I'm trying to say is, right, these are two incidents, right, that the same player has used his arm, right, an illegal part of his body to stop a goal-scoring opportunity, or it could have been a penalty kick in the box. Neither has been given, right? Now, you look at the situation with the Rangers player on Sunday, Big Sterling with the handball. Does it strike his hand? Of course it strikes his hand. That's not the issue here, right? You've then got to say, well, has he stopped a goal-scoring opportunity? Maybe he's aye, maybe he's not. The keeper's made a save, right? Then you've got to ask yourself, well, is his hand in an unnatural position, right? So if the two Alistair Johnson situations are in a natural position and it struck his hand and it's deemed not a penalty, and the Rangers' Big Sterling jumps up and his hand is in a natural position, yet that's deemed a penalty. Now, this is where it gets interesting, lads, right? The SPFL and IFAB laws of the game, right? A penalty cannot be awarded once play has restarted after the stoppage. The referee cannot change a decision, including awarding a penalty once play has restarted or the match has ended. The only exception is if VAR confirm a missed incident occurred before the restart, right? The restart rule. Once the referee signals the restart play, e.g. free kick, throw in, i.e. goal, after a foul or in the box is missed, they cannot go back. They cannot go back to award a penalty, right? Advantage exceptions. If the referee played advantage for the foul in the box, the advantage does not materialise, the penalty can still be awarded, even if this is seconds later, provided play was not technically restarted by a different decision, right? And it goes on to disciplinary action, etc., right? And it goes, the bottom line here, it says, VAR in matches using VAR, a review can only be initiated for a penalty incident up until the next restart of play, right? Have you looked at what happened there? The ball
I think it was out for a shy. Out for a shy.
Yeah, and then Celtic get a throw in. Celtic take a throw in, and then they stop, and then you see Collum going to his ear.
Yeah.
So therefore, how can it possibly be a penalty if that's the laws and regulations of the game? So therefore, you've got Wally Collum there, you've got other guys in the VAR room, and you've got John Beaton there, and the three of them don't know the rules and regulations of the game, and they're the top officials. Yeah,
It'll be interesting to hear the audio.
You better believe it. And listen, if one's a penalty, i.e. the Rangers one, How is the other two no a penalty? The one against Kilmarnock and the one against Rangers at Parkhead. How are they no a penalty? But see a penalty kick, it's not a penalty kick because they either don't know the rules of the game or there's a different agenda here. Right, and I'm calling this right out now. This is corruption in football. It's cheating. That's what they're doing. Because you can't have one set of rules for one team and one set of rules for another. It's either right down the middle, either it's a penalty, Alan Johnson's a penalty on the two occasions I've stated, and Rangers is a penalty, or the three situations individually are not penalties. It's one or the other. Simple as that. And Column's at the back of this, and he's sitting in the positions of power within that referee whatever system it is they want to call it, and they're making the rules up as they go along. End of.
I think you might have nailed it. Billy. They're making the rules up as they go along. I said that earlier on. I couldn't really tell you what's up. Used to know it was a deliberate handball. Yeah. All players got a view. If it hits your horn, it should be a penalty. I think the old rule worked fine if you were trying to seek to gain an advantage. The Stirling was to try to seek to gain an advantage. But in this present era of football, that situation, if it happened on the other end, I'd have been looking for a penalty kick. Except your argument about the two other penalties. Well, one of them caused somebody to retire and ended up getting promoted, and he's part of the problem of Scottish football. Robert, then Bridge.
Hi, good evening, Billy. Interesting to hear that stuff, mate, to be honest with you. I didn't notice at the time in real time about them taking a throw in and then the play stopping. I would need to watch it back. Did they just take it quickly and said, no, wait, there's a check going on? Or was he allowing play to continue, Billy? I've not seen it yet, mate.
I'll drop it into the. I'll drop the link into your wee chat thing, right? If you watch it, the ball goes out to play, Robert, right? The ball goes out to play. The Celtic player throws it in. Celtic have gained about 10 years in the park, right? Maybe no 10 years, maybe 5 years in the park, because the Celtic player he threw the ball to the Celtic player. The Celtic players went on the attack, right? And then Beatons went to his ear and stopped the play. Now, to me, that is not the rule, according to what I've just read out there, because the ball is then therefore back in play. And Celtic, regarding that, what I spoke about the rule as well, regarding advantage, etc., right? So Celtic have got the ball back, and then you can actually see the Celtic player going, he's waving his horns to Beaton saying, what you doing here? After the balls went back into play, Robert. What I'll do is, mate, I'll drop it into chat and you can see it for yourselves, guys, right?
Aye, listen, mate, if that is something that's happened, then obviously, as you're saying, the rules are the rules, but I said it earlier as well, mate, that nobody seems to know anymore. The handball rule was a grey area. They tried to reword it to improve it so there wasn't any of these dubious calls or whatever, or dubious calls rather. Nobody knows still. I said it on Sunday and I'll say it again. The fact that it wasn't a factual overturn suggests to me that VAR are not deeming it deliberate. Therefore, it's subjective. And for me personally, that would indicate there's doubt that Sterling's arm is in a natural position. But to this day, mate, I still don't understand how referees can say it's natural or not natural, having not played the game. How can you tell by an image what is natural? Are you talking about 1 degree, 2 degrees difference? It's a very fine margin to say natural and unnatural. The only thing I think, again, I wouldn't know, mate, until I hear the audio. I do want to hear it, and it'll be interesting to hear it when it is released. Does the ball change direction? Was that the only reason that they think that it was a penalty? They need to check it because there was a deflection and the ball changed direction onto Butland. Subjective.
See when you watched that cross coming back at that time of the match, do you think Butland should come and take everything, Robert?
Yes. It's not the first time, Ox. Yes.
Well, we never really discussed that on Sunday because I think we might have been a wee bit emotional. Bridgeman, have you looked at it?
Yeah, I do agree what you said there. There's a good possibility that our goalkeeper Butland should have been out to that. However, I don't know how quick he is on his feet, to be perfectly honest. But looking at it from me, watching the game again, there's a bit of doubt in my mind. But really and truly, I really think he should have been there. If not for anything else, just to barge people out of the way and things like that, you know. That's what I feel. Because there's if you say sometimes he looks really slow and ponderous, other times he is very quick coming out. So if we get him on his good time, where he's coming out very quick, then he should have come out for that and got it, in my opinion.
Aye. It's just it's the time of the game, Robert, isn't it? Everything, clear everything, punch it away for the goal, get myself set up, see the game out, because the clock's really moving on there, isn't it?
That is, mate. And I've always said that anything within the 6-yard box is goalkeeper territory. See, if you hit your own defender, they'll take one for the team because you've got the ball in your hands. Hopefully you don't spill it, of course, but just come, clear everybody and everything in your way, get a hold of that ball and just let that time dwindle down. The ball's still in play. There's not going to be added on time for you having the ball because it's still live play. Just come and clear it. And I think that's something that over the years we've had Jack Butland. It's been a consistent where supporters have said he needs to be more commanding of his box. And that there was a prime example where he could and should have been.
Well, I think Big Jack's got a few positives in his game. His positive in his game is he saves in his arch, Billy. You know what I mean by that, yeah? But I think that the one of the things he's no got for a goalkeeper is quick feet. And to get yourself as a goalkeeper, to get the tap level, you need to have quick feet. Move half a heel, because that changes all the angles and all the bits and pieces you have to do. And that's what I think Jack just lacks it. I'm not saying he's not a good goalkeeper, but to move to the next level, you've got to have quick feet. And he's never been particularly good at cross balls. You know, he comes the odd time, but that's not his forte. He's a decent shot stopper. He's not the same class as maybe Alan, but who is? Billy?
Well, is that not one of the attributes he was meant to? But everybody was all ranting, raving about when they were shouting about Alan McGregor not coming for cross balls, etc.
No, was it his 14 either, was it?
No, it wasn't. But no, but you know, but you're saying there. Well, was that no one of the reasons that we signed Butland, because he's meant to be more commanding in his 6-yard box and his penalty area? You know, that was one of the reasons he was signed. You know, regarding his feet, I understand you're talking about when he's no one to shuffle his feet about. You know what I mean, to get into a better position. But he's a decent enough shot stopper, and he's good at penalty kicks. But when you look at that penalty kick back and all, you know, for the life of me, there are 2 Celtic players there chasing that ball down. Where's all the Rangers players chasing that ball down? That's schoolboy stuff, lads, as far as I'm concerned. But just to get back on the Wally Collum scenario, Wally Collum will probably come out with his big typical spiel there, this, that, and the next thing. But I'd like to put Wally on the spot and say, right, Wally, go and jump up, go and jump there. You jump, let me see where your horns go. See if you think that's natural or unnatural when you jump, where does your hands go, William? I'd like to see Wally Collum jumping 2 feet, 3 feet up in the air in the height of an Old Firm game, with what's going on like that, and keep his hands down by his side. Your hands are no meant. The laws of gravity tell you when you jump, your arms got with you. That's science. That's no unnatural. That's basic science. That's where your hands go. You got the way.
I wouldn't want Wally Collum to jump 2 or 3 feet. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather
you'd look for a lot more.
I'd rather have the high jump, mate. I think
that'd be more like it.
I think there's a lot of problems in Scottish football for all the clubs, well, the 11 clubs, right? Who've got issues, right? And he's part of the story. It's no help more game. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't think that shows a good idea. I really don't. I don't know what it achieves. Yeah. Just my take on it. Once the game's done, unless you're going to court and you're going to have to get the games replayed, what can you do about it? What are you going to get? An apology? What difference does that make? Rich?
Yeah, I agree with you with Colin. I think all of our referees, to a certain extent, are much the same now. They've got 2 ideas. If it's against Rangers, then it's okay, you know. Well, no bother giving a free kick, unless it's really too obvious that we're ain't people will complain about it, you know, that kind of thing. But they've got the same mantra to a man, every single one of them, and that's not to give Rangers anything. It's easier to refuse Rangers any decision. It's easier, and I think that was obvious at the weekend. I'm not saying the guy didn't hit the ball didn't hit his hand. Of course it did, but he wasn't trying to punch it into the net or punch it out the net or anything like that. That ball hit his hand without touching him. No, I don't think he'd headed it onto his hand. I don't think it was anything like that. I think the ball hit his hand. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a tough decision, but I think a fair decision was no penalty for as far as I was concerned. Because they were up the park with the ball, ready to take throw-ins or whatever it was, you know. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't think it was a penalty. But there we go, we're here, we're in Scotland, and it is an Old Firm game. And
up to the last few minutes of the match, I mean, there was absolutely very, very little controversy in the game, if we're honest, Robert. You know, there was, all right, there maybe fouls you were looking for and incidents, but it was pretty tame compared to some games. Even it was a decent game of football, but for different reasons. The excitement of us trying to hold on to the second half, the nerves, if you like, and then the excitement for us how well we played the first half. But Beaton didn't have any real decisions today, if you like, to after the 90th minute.
It was a strange one, mate, because there was a bit of a kind of, I don't know whether you use the word expectancy that you were maybe going to see some meaty tackles, or the referee was going to have a few pressure decisions to make throughout the game. But as you said, it didn't really come until obviously that penalty shout. And then one for me, Ox, is the one in Nico Raskin in the 95th minute as well, which he never blew for a foul at all. VAR never checked it. It's up on our page. I put it up there this afternoon if anybody's not seen it. He's got a shove in the back. He's going for an overhead kick, going for a spectacular. Whether he's going to get it on target or not is a different story. But he's bars in the back by their wee right back Mexican, who's an absolute wind-up merchant, who does a similar foul in the first half to Mikey Moore and is penalised for a free kick. Exact same tackle or foul, not even a tackle, a foul, not looked at. So for me, that was a moment, and that's kind of went under the radar. I know Southside and Albert touched on it a bit last night at the time of the game. They never seen it.
So
I think a lot of fans never seen it as well. So there's one that's went away, but that's two moments out of a 95-minute game where you maybe thought the referee was going to have a lot more to deal with, but it was a strange game for an Old Firm.
It was a foul. There's no denying it was a foul, mate. Yeah, and if it's a foul in the penalty box, it's a penalty. Yeah, because he had no intention of playing the ball, he just burst them in the back. It was, I've got to admit, I never noticed it at the time. Yeah, because the ball went out of play, and I was more annoyed that maybe for asking for what he tried to do. Couldn't understand what he was trying to do. Was that the one where we took the quick free kick? Right at the death,
mate. 95th minute on the clock, because as soon as they took the goal kick, I think the whistle went just about 30 seconds later. But there was no VAR check. Play resumed as soon as he actually blew and pointed in the direction of, like, towards your players, indicating a free kick. And I think he gave a free kick on Chermiti right at the bar line for trying to keep the ball in play or win a corner. And he's gave a foul then, because it wasn't a goal kick. He's pointed a free kick in Celtic's favour. I don't know what for, but there you go.
Robert, is it no?
Anyway, Billy Boy, just hold that thought, mate. Because Bridge will need to have a break. Get yourself a game, because we're going to have a tune.
Started down in Flesher's Hall. They didn't even have a bar. Those four lads they gave us all the Rangers we all love. Ibrox home to you and me, our blue heaven, you will agree. 50,000 flock to see the Rangers we all love. The Saturday comes and the Bears will stroll along, shout and cheer and sing our songs. We don't care win, lose or draw, we're the greatest of them all. In this game they call football, it's Rangers we all love. Come on! Rangers fans the whole world o'er, all the loyal to the core, and support forevermore the Rangers we all love. Oh. The Saturday comes and the Bears will stroll along, shout and cheer and sing our songs. We don't care win, lose or draw, we're the greatest of them all. In this game they call football, it's Rangers we all love. Rangers fans the whole world o'er, all the loyal to the core, and support forevermore the Rangers we all love. Rangers fans the whole world o'er, all the loyal to the core, and support forevermore the Rangers we all love.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Like our number, I like our number. Who was the singer on Saturday night, Billy? Yeah, Billy. Aye, Robert.
Rebecca Octaloni. Great singer, mate. Great singer.
Octaloni.
Yes.
Okay, do you enjoy it? Good?
It was good, mate. It was good. Bears were certainly up for the party that night, that's for sure.
Aye, good, good. And a good chatter, aye.
Aye.
What kind of numbers? Full repertoire?
Oh, you know, mate, the usuals. A lot of All Bears' favourite was played right at the end. I'm sure he would have missed it. He'd have loved it as well. Ibrox Sonia. I'm sure he would have been belting it out.
He'd have been up on the table, mate. He'd have been up on that table.
Oh, there certainly was a few doing that, that's for sure.
Not that I would ever go to anybody for doing anything like that. Right, Billy boy, in you come.
Aye, I was just to touch on what Robert was saying there regarding Raskin. You know, we've got a guy, Wally Collum, right? He's got the best technology sitting right in front of him at his fingertips in the VAR room, right? Now, is it not very convenient that for all the different angles and all that technology's got in that VAR room that he never seen that barge on Raskin, right? But he made sure he seen the penalty kick with the handball on Sterling.
I don't think Collum does VAR, mate. He's a different role, mate. It was Clancy.
Right, well,
it was Clancy.
Well, it was Clancy. Aye, sorry,
Aye.
Clancy. That's what I meant. Oh, sorry, Clancy. Is it not very convenient, Clancy? Never seen that in the VAR room, but he's seen the Sterling one. You know,
Right, I get it, mate.
he's using the same technology constantly for 90+ minutes of the game. You know, big decisions, right? The VAR, understand VAR doesn't come into consideration unless it's serious foul play or it's inside the penalty box, a penalty, or it's on the line, etc. Then VAR intervenes there. Right, so that's Raskin's took the ball upon his chest. He's jumped up in mid-air and the boys clattered him. Right, so it's a foul in the box, penalty kick. So how can Clancy not see that? And listen, we're just talking about Clancy. I made the point about.
I can answer that. I've got an answer to that. Yeah, just me. I think I don't think I've been fair in Kevin, because he didn't see it at the time because he was too busy jumping about and celebrating the penalty kick, mate.
Probably.
That's just the way I seen it. Robert?
You maybe not be wrong there, Ox. You maybe not be wrong, mate. But Billy's right. The technology is there to be used. There's some things that I think we should maybe start to change, whether it improves it or not. You said before the tune there, mate, you don't see the point in Willie Collins' wee show. One thing I've said for a number of times this season alone is you don't hear the officials during the game. I know they brought it down in England where the refs are mic'd up and they do make their decisions and they announce it over the tannoy. So everybody in the stadium knows what's the foul, what it's for. Whether that helps or not, does it improve and solve mistakes? No, it doesn't. But does it maybe help the support understand, one, what's going on and what the decision is? Of course, they'll still make mistakes. They do it in England. There's still mistakes. But is that not maybe the next step to try and get more clarity, not just for your club, the others in the league, or the other 10 in the league? Because I'm sure, Billy, you said it last week in the show, mate. These decisions are season defining for some teams, whether you're top of the league or bottom of the league.
The worst decision I've seen, one of the worst decisions I've seen was at St Mirren sending up.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah.
Ironically, mate, Nick Walsh, same guy that gave Diamondi a red card for something very similar.
Aye. I mean, that was an absolute shocking decision. Was it no Nick Walsh? Not many of them that bad. Was it no Nick Walsh that had the big decision with the Ross County Dundee last year, but it ended up affecting relegation? Was it? Oh, I can't remember if it was him. I think it was.
He's probably not far off, mate, because he's involved with quite a lot of quite contentious decisions, let's say. He can kick people in the head and it's not a red card, remember?
Good point there. See what you've done there. But aye. Right, look, let's part the referee stuff and look, let's take the positives. The positives was the pace and the way we played that first half, Billy. And we'll come to negatives again, but you know, the energy with Nadiri and particularly Moore, I thought was outstanding. I mean, there was a couple of times with Mikey, I think he should just slip Romans in, and I think that'll come with experience. I think Romans looks a right good player, Billy. I think Fernandez and Suter have to get their head on together, and I don't know if they'll be the partnership going forward for us. Sterling's pace and power, he's no 100% fit. But he showed in the first half when there was a foot race and he just put the afterburners on and left their outside right, left, Maida for dead. But there's positives in it. Tucci in the midfield, pace and power, can't get past an hour. We know what we get with Rico Raskin, and by the way, Chermiti. Wow. I mean, 7 goals. Is it 4 against Hearts, 4 against Celtic? 9 goals he scored this season. 4 against Hearts, 4 against Celtic, and 1 against Kilmarnock. You know, and that goal on Sunday, mate, it was just out of this world. Billy?
Well, I thought the first half, we blew them away. Absolutely blew them away with pace and power and the way we were moving the ball about. The Celtic hadn't an answer. They were just chasing shadows, you know, and I went like that. I went, this, if we go out in the second half and do the same with this in the second half, this could be a cricket score here. That was my impressions. There was no way I thought we were going to go out in that second half and put the performance in like the second half we did put in. But what I will say is, if Danny Rose want the Rangers to play like that, right, with that intensity for 45 minutes, right, and then he's want to only make 2 substitutions in the second half, right, that's not going to happen, because the players need to be supermen to play like 45 minutes like that in 2 halves. So you've got to say to yourself, well, what do you do there? You've got to make sure that the bench is fit enough and strong enough with the same pace and power to come on in the second half to continue that job when the players have burnt themselves out. So you replace a burnt out player with one of the same, you know. So that's what they should have done in the second half to keep that momentum going. So that said, anyway, you know, that's the way I've seen it. But we did the kick a ball in the second half. And listen, the bottom line here is, you know, if you're playing against your greatest rivals, you've only 9 or 10 games to go. You're 2-0 up at home. You're cruising in a game, and you can't see the game, lads. Then you've got a problem there, eh? You've definitely got a problem. You don't deserve to win titles. You know, my issue is there's been three occasions now in Old Firm games. When you look back, the first one, Danny, the manager got it wrong at Parkhead in the first half, and he corrected it in the second half, and we won 3-1 winners. The semi-final, you can cut him some slack for that, because obviously we've got a player sent off, you know, but I thought we were the best team in the second half in the semi-final and all, and we just burnt ourselves. We burnt ourselves out just because of the big park at Hampden, etc. So I'll cut them some slack for that one, you know, because you can't compensate for players getting sent off. You know, that's upon their heads. It's their the players' responsibility to make sure they stay in the park. We didn't do that, so I'll cut them some slack for that one. But you go in this the game there at the weekend, we're flying out the traps, we run Celtic ragged, battered them into the ground, and then we come out and put a performance out like that in the second half. So you say to yourself, well, hold on now, lads, we're only getting this right for 45 minutes each half. When have we actually got to get it right for 90 minutes? So who's that doing to? Is it down to the manager, the player's attitude? What is it down to? It's definitely down to something. You know, because you can't just turn up and think a game's won after 45 minutes. Regarding the big fella Chermiti, I thought his goal, and honestly, I took my hat off to the big fella, you know, and I've been one of his critics like the rest of his. You know, I thought that goal, you know, that, and listen, I'll go one even further. That's the best Old Firm goal I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of screamers, you know, Wilkins, I say Jamie Ness, you know, Jonas Tern, etc. Goals like that, you know, good football goals in Old Firm games, you know, Gascoigne scoring, etc., etc. But for an individual goal, that's the best I've seen. Chermiti. His second goal was a good one. I know, I thought too, because he nicked in, he's robbed the guy, he's had a good first touch on the boy, and he just flicked it round him, you know, and he's had the composure just to pass it past the Celtic keeper. So that was a great goal as well. But who's it fought for I know I heard you in the show talking about last night, the corner, etc., and the way they hung me. Well, it was Chermiti tried the wee fancy flick that gave the ball away, that led to the ball going up into the park for the ball to come into the box.
That was a turning moment. You could hear go to Bridgeman. That was a turning moment, because Big Chermiti was, I mean, let's be honest, he was the hero of the place. And the ball got played up to him, and he tried the back tail one that was fair then. We had a mad few minutes when we couldn't clear the ball, and we were actually breaking away. And these small margins wherein football games change, you know, because the ball should be doing the other end, and they can't score, and the next time you're defending for a couple of minutes. Bridge.
Yeah. Like you're talking about the goals that were scored, I thought they were utterly fabulous goals. I'm not going to compare them to anything in the past. And in that moment, what an absolutely fabulous goal to score. No matter who you are, no matter what country you're in, that was top drawer in anyone's language, top drawer. And I thought his second goal, in a certain way, every bit as good, because he went in there, touched the ball with the finest touch, took it away for the guy, really, and then but actually flicked the ball past the goalkeeper. A lot of cheek, not as good as the first goal because it was a big overhead, but really and truly, everything, all the guile, style, fitness, it was all there for the guy. What you need to do is get somebody in this world that's capable of doing something to help that guy, to be able to let him, can you give him another engine? Can you give him, put more petrol in the tank? Call it what you like. Somebody to help him, because if he can continue to do that, you've got a mega £1 million player on your hands. He is wonderful to watch. Wonderful when he's in that mood. Whatever mood it was, whatever he was eating, just do it again. Keep doing it. And we get to the point where we think we're only ever going to get a good 45, 50, 60 minutes out of Chermiti, then we go for that. But we want him to keep up that game that he's got to get us to where we want to go, because we're on his coattails. What we don't want is we don't want to burn him out, which Rangers have done many times over the past. We don't want that. We want him to be available and get onto the park and do that same type of stuff every single time he comes on. Now, he puts in a power of work, an absolute power of work. And if we want him to continue doing that, given the situation, we ain't got the person to give him the backup at the moment. Because we want the other guy to do the same thing. Run and run and run and challenge and cause problems. We want people to do all that, rumble people up. I don't know we'll ever get that, but we need to have people back them up. And we obviously don't. I mean, it was obvious on Sunday that they ran out of steam. Even with the players that we brought on, ran out of steam, to be honest. They just were poor. I was bitterly disappointed with they getting that penalty kick and scoring, because I thought Rangers thoroughly deserved a victory in that game. Thoroughly deserved it.
Listen, mate, if it had been a boxing match, it would have been stopped at half time, but it wasn't, mate. And
Yeah, right.
It was like a mirror image of the game at Park Green, mate. It flipped. It was the proverbial game of two halves, Robert. But there was that touch picture, mate, just inside their half, mate, and I was right. Came for that. They get up with Park, and I can't mind if they get one or two corners, but for that moment, that's where they scored the goal. Yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is, and as you say, it's these small moments and fine margins that can change a scoreline. Although you maybe think in real time and when you're watching the game live that it's not impacting it until you realise when you're watching it back that if he just kept hold of that ball, we're on the ascendancy, we're up the park, we might get a corner the next 2-3 minutes. All the plays in their area, in their half, in their box, whatever it is. But that's these wee fine margins. But you heard the moans and the groans, and I think that's maybe when the nerves start to kick in. I don't know about you, Ox, but could you feel a bit of tension even watching the game? That the atmosphere, the fans were great. Let's not kid ourselves on. The fans are great as well every week, but it didn't have the same, for me, the same electric noise as it did against Hearts. Obviously, the fixture, it's always nervous, but when wee things like that happen in a game, and you're under pressure, you're looking for a release, and you give the ball away cheaply, and you're putting yourself under pressure. And I think that's something we've done throughout this season, not even just under Danny Rule, just under the whole season, is small errors that put ourselves under pressure, and we've conceded from it.
Compounded the silly foul last week at Livingston, John Suter in the first half, mate. Just getting too close to the guy when he can't get the ball, fouling him. In the foul, I mean, the guy scores a great goal, but if you don't get that foul away, that doesn't happen.
Correct.
You know, errors are compounded on the football part. These goals come for errors, Billy, yeah?
Unless it's a bit of football brilliance, individually or team play, but that's how 9 times out of 10 the goals they come. You know, but do you know what's this is a bad habit we've got ourselves into. I've watched this for a wee while now. We allow, see our defenders, right? We see when we're on the front foot, right? I don't know what it is, but we allow ourselves to be bullied into dropping back, right? Instead of, see if you've got two come up, Bridgeman, he'll know better than the rest of us. If you've got a big strong centre half, or even better, two big strong centre halves, right? And commanding centre halves, they're going to hold their line, right? And they're going to tell that they'll hear their arms waving. You'll see it. One will be talking to the full back in front of him, and the other one will be keeping the full back behind him, right? And they'll be telling you, no, stay, let them run into the box and keep that line as straight as you possibly can, defending corners, no corners, free kicks, etc. Right? But once you start to allow teams to bully you, to start to get dropping back into that space that you done, they're pushing you into that space. That's up to your two centre halves to tell the players round about them. No, we're not allowing ourselves to be bullied. But it happened against Motherwell and it happened against Celtic. You know, some of the defending, but I mean, how can you possibly defend your own area if you're defending near enough on the penalty spot or a 6-yard box? You know, that's where, you know, just step up, let them run into that space. They're our side. Hold your line 10 yards up the park. So, in my opinion, guys, that's what's happening here. We're allowing ourselves to be bullied into getting pushed back into positions we didn't want to go to. And that's due to your opponent bullying you into doing these things. So therefore, your centre halves, and especially John Suter, he should know better, right? He's been a centre half for long enough. He's, what is he, 29-year-old or something? 29, 30-year-old. 30-year-old. He should have more experience to turn around and say, well, Ken, what?
Listen, let's be honest, mate. Let's be honest. Let's be really honest. No having a go at John Shooter, the man. I'm talking about these performances. His performance in the last few weeks. Murmel, Livingston, second half against Celtic. Big games, mate. He's failed to deliver, in my opinion. Going to go to Bridge. I know he's a big fan, Bridge man. Then Billy, then back to Robert.
A big fan. I love that. You know, I'm afraid Mr. Suter, the Bridgeman says no. I've said it all the way along the line. I'll support him. He's in the Rangers team. I'll support him. But for me, he hasn't ever been the quality of centre half the Rangers are looking for. He's done a deal with the club, and the amount the club took him on, and whatever he's done up to now, but still get his man at his Scotland strip, Scotland pass, getting his caps and so on and so forth. And good luck to him, and good luck to him in the Rangers as well. But the truth is, for the Bridgeman, I'm sorry, I don't rate him as a really good centre half for Rangers. I really don't. I'm looking for somebody like Big Fernandes, and if I can get somebody even tougher than Big Fernandes, even tougher, that's what I would want. Same height, maybe a better build, and a killer. Because if you're a killer at centre half, nobody's going to come near you. They won't come near you. You remember the last one they had, Big Bobo Baldi. My goodness gracious, people were scared to get near him. And I mean, not just Rangers, all the teams. So he got away with murder, and they got away with murder with it. And we need somebody of that ilk, to be a better player, of course. But my goodness gracious, we could do him. And I'm sorry, Mr. Suter doesn't crack it for me.
Billy and Robert.
Well, the first half, I thought Suter was attacking everything.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
he was winning every ball he went for. He was climbing right out through the two people. You know, if you watch the first half that Rangers had, where was their defending line? It was where it was meant to be. And then you look at the second half, Big Suter he had that back four near enough sitting in the Broomland stand. We were that deep. You know, listen, Bridgeman rightly said there, we're needing another big centre half, a big bruiser in there and all. Not to allow that. We can't allow teams to bully us. You know, and I'm sick and tired seeing Rangers centre halves getting bullied early years. When you look at all the brilliant centre halves we've had, you know, some of them maybe weren't the greatest of football players. Others were more classy, like your Richard Goss and your Big Butchers and all that. Right? But one thing, the players that maybe didn't have the same ability as they two laddies had, right? They didn't allow themselves to be bullied. You know, it was just not on. You know, they were prepared to throw themselves into a tackle, and if somebody battered into them and say, "Oh, is that right? Aye, well, your card's marked." The next challenge that they went into, they were getting their challenge back. Well, they were getting a kick at them back. You know what I mean, to put it politely. You know, but that's something that we don't do, Ox, and it scunners the life out of me. So it does. With getting bullied and in positions like that, especially at centre half, you can't allow that your centre halves to be bullied.
I just don't. I agree with you. Suter was fine in the first half. I think all our players were okay, some exceptional. I think the second half, I think Suter and maybe with Butland as well, mate, put us under pressure because in that game there was times just to go long, Robert, and just get them turning, move our whole team up with part and set. And we never done it because we were putting the ball out of play. It was John Suter and Jack Butland that done it. You know, and they were experienced pros. They were most experienced pros on the park.
That's the thing, Ox. It's been like that all season, where sometimes you question the distribution. We're trying to play out from the back, which, whether that's the way forward, I don't know. People have their different opinions on it. That's the modern game these days, isn't it? But It's a story of this season that we've played our way into trouble at times when the option is just go long. They can't score when you're 50, 60 yards up from your goal. So if in doubt, the old saying is put it out. But we're doing that far too much at times. We're just hitting it out the park. And it's still within our area half the time. But that's just the two players that you mentioned there, Butland and Suter. Sometimes their distribution's poor. Raskin's distribution's poor at times as well. Ultimately, in the second half, nobody got a foothold to get the ball under control, to get the game under control from our aspect and our point of view. That's the frustration. Whether Suter, as you say, is the answer going forward, remains to be seen. I thought there was logic in giving him a new contract, I will admit. I thought there was logic in it. Is he the answer going forward as a mainstay? I don't think so. But what I will say is if Danny Rule has got eyes on guys now for next season, because we know we need to fix the defence, we know who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. But his signings have all been tall, strong, physical guys. And I fully expect that to be the centre half as well that we'll bring in, whether it's 1, 2, 3 maybe. Whether John Suter's the first choice pairing going forward remains to be seen. But we know what he offers, we know what he's got in his weakness. But collectively, there is players within the squad that do put us under pressure at times. And it is, when you've said, the experienced ones.
Hey, well, I'm nothing against Big John Suter. Comes across like I think he's a quiet, very polite guy. Doesn't cause us any problems. He's brave. He's maybe played better games than a lot of people thought he would when he joined us. Is he the worst centre half I've ever seen? No, he's not. But I tell you what, his form in the last 2 weeks, few weeks at the business end of the season hasn't been great. Hasn't been great. Really?
Much no, his form's that. No, we can understand all players getting out of form. I get that. You know, you can't go through a season without having a blip in your form. You know what I mean? It happens to everybody. You know, they're only human beings. But even when your form dips, you've got to do the basics right. You know, and you've got, you know, back to what I was talking about earlier on there. You know, you can't allow teams to bully you into positions that you didn't want to go. You know, and that's, if you're a centre half, I mean, that should be your bread and butter. It's got to be your bread and butter. You shouldn't be playing that position. You know, you see that at amateur level. You know, these guys are meant to be allegedly professional football players. That's how they're meant to made the grade, because they're professional football players. So if you wonder, I really wonder at times, who actually scouted you, big man? What did you do that was consistently well for you to be saying, do you know what, we could make this guy a professional football player? Because I've seen better amateur and junior players better than some of the players we've had over the years. You know? But listen,
I'm not saying Big Suter's a junior or an amateur, mate.
No, near him Alex. I'm not saying that either, but I'm just using that as an example, right? But Suter, if it frustrates the life out of me, do you know, I don't listen, he's just a big, strong, average centre half, in my opinion. And if you're getting into, as wee Robert said there, listen, if you get into that transfer window in the summertime, you know, I mean, that'll take care of itself. I'm sure the manager will know who he's wanting to bring in. But listen, I'll say right now, we need two centre halves, two big centre halves, and we need two playmaking midfielders. That's what we need in the summer. That's the four signings that Glasgow Rangers need.
Yes, yes or no? Yes or no? Would you sign the right winger?
No.
Robert?
At this point in time, no. Needs to do more.
Rich? He's away. At this moment in time, no. Even though he's part of one of the
I'm
best.
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt you. Yes, I would sign him. I would. I was giving you my reason, but obviously I was in mute.
What's your reason?
Well, I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's going to be a really like a lot of the guys that are in there now. They're kind of strangers to the fans. We're not seeing the best in him. We've seen a couple of fabulous crosses from him when he's on the ball. He needs to get better. Obviously, we know that. We can see it. But I would certainly buy him for sure. You'll get a not a bad deal for him. My memory says me right.
£8
He's
million.
only
I know that's not a lot of money.
how much do you say?
8 million. I think
Is that what they're looking for?
I think that's the deal to buy him, mate.
Ah, well, I don't think I'd give that much for him. But between now and the end of the season, you might see it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know,
Yeah,
mate.
you might,
Strange
but
thing.
not 8 million. Sorry, not 8 million.
Would you not even maybe think about contributing?
In what way? What his contribution is?
No, your contribution. Maybe you can make up the shortfall.
Oh, you mean I could contribute? Aye,
Aye.
right, okay. Aye, right. Oh, that's a good one.
Right. I know. We'll have to have a minute's silence, do boys. Right. Just before we go, last part of the show, let's hear from these.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
I think we've been joined by, who's the second? Bob Gentleman with us in a second. Listen, I don't disagree with just good sell Robert, 2 centre halves. I mean, we don't sign Cornelius and Jiggers away just to get back to the 4. We have to sign 2. Yeah, we have to sign 2. I think Bob Gers with us. Evening, Bob.
Good evening. I'm still unscunnered. Aye. I've just been listening to the show there, guys. I just got the impression that the majority of the blame of this result on Sundays landed at the door of John Suter. You forget, Rangers are 11 players in the fact, and there were a lot of non-contributors in the second half. We know that. We've all seen the game. So we just do I'm not defending the guy in a poor game. Well, he wasn't the only him.
My point wasn't just Sunday in the second half, mate. I don't think his form's been great. Motherwell away,
No.
Livingston away, and then the game on Saturday. Yeah, and also, if you think back, he wasn't great with the goals we lost against Hearts.
Aye, nobody at his best lately, the big game.
Aye.
I'll agree with you there. But we were in Pope.
I'm not saying he's the reason we've dropped the points, mate. But he hasn't been great, and it's a pivotal position, mate. But he was.
No.
I think him and Butland were experienced pros. They didn't directly cause any of the goals, but they could have done better. Robert, then Billy.
Hi, good evening, Bob. Always good to hear from you, mate.
Good evening.
I'm not blaming Suter either for Sunday's usage, mate. There was 11 players in that park, 2 subs came on that didn't change the second half the way it went, mate. So it's not landing. I'm not putting it on John Suter's doorstep. What we're saying is obviously his form's not been great. And when he wasn't playing, Giga was showing a bit of form. And on here, some of us felt that even getting into some of these games, Giga looked the more kind of informed player. You know what Suter gives you, you know what Giga gives you, and you know what they both can cause at times with the heart palpitations and everything else in between.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to confess I felt a bit sorry for Giga. Giga was playing well. Long white shorts or no, he was playing well, the man. I thought he warranted enough form for him to keep his place. I'll be honest with you. I'm in agreement with you, Suter, eh?
He's certainly done nothing wrong since he came back from AFCON. He's not done anything wrong in the games he's played. He's looked more assured than he did before. Probably does feel hard done by. The only thing I can probably suggest is he's a lone player. Would we rather play our own players? We always do. We always like to play the players that we've got rather than build somebody else up and send them back on loan. But at the time, some of these fixtures, John Suter hadn't signed that contract yet, so we didn't know what was happening with him. So you've got a good argument. Did Giga deserve to be dropped? Arguably not.
No, he didn't. It doesn't matter if he's a lone player or no. I mean, he's still here. He's still a member of your squad and he was doing well. But again, that's pointing the finger at John Suter again. We just collectively and individually have to get better than what we've been. Have we got any aspirations to be winning this league? It's as simple as that.
Billy, and you come, mate.
as I said there, Ox, all right, Bob Jer. The
Aye,
first
Billy.
half, I thought the full teammate was magnificent in the first half. Every one of them 10s out of 10. I thought they were different class, mate. But the second half, as I said, I don't know if you heard me talking about it there, I thought
Aye.
listen, I wasn't just nitpicking John Shooter, mate. It was the way that my point is with Shooter, how he allows, he's meant to be the last line of the defence. Obviously, he's a captain in all firm game. You know, he should be more he should be more commanding, in my opinion. And situations like that, you know. I mean, but not just him. Listen, Buckland's had a good save for the one that's come off of Sterling's horn. He's made 2 great saves for the penalty, the first one, and then he's got up and reacted to the second one, you know. But both have got to be more commanding, Buckland and Shooter, you know. And to be right, you're correct, mate. You're saying, mate. The rest of the players and all, they've got to accept responsibility as well. Every one of them, you know. It was like you look at that second half and you say to yourself, well, where's the attitude? Where's the desire? Where's the temperament? You know, where's the commitment for each other? Where was all that? And you maybe put a lot of energy and pace and hunger and all that into the, you know, and football into the first half performance. But where was the heart and desire to see that game through in the second half? That's what the question I'm going to ask them. You know,
that's what we're all wondering, Billy.
Bob Jer, do you think we get bullied, mate? Do you think we get what I was talking about there, buddy? Right? Do you think we get bullied into getting into areas that we didn't? The players there that take us into areas that we didn't want to go to.
Well, aye, definitely. I mean, we were practically outplayed in the second half. That's a big word. I mean, all O'Neill did was stuck Tatty in the middle of the park and put his neighbour up the front, not Maeda. And that was the difference. He was getting all the room in the world to spray the ball about, and Rangers weren't stepping on him. Now, we get off see that. Surely Roll could see it. I'm not criticising the man. We all make mistakes. Roll's done great with us, and he's going to continue to do great with us. I'm convinced of that. But on the Sunday, that Jap, he got all the time in the world to knock the ball out, knock it wide, knock it inside, make wee long and short passes. He was outstanding in the second half, because he got room to play. Had he done a kill half to the midfield in the second, we just could not get forward at him.
That's the problem with the two. And it wasn't a 4-2-3-1. Sometimes it could look like that, but that was a sort of, I don't know, a 4-2, 2 in front of them with the 2 wide men who have got a job to do. There was 2 up top when the Deary trying to come back into midfield. So I suppose at times it did look like a 4-2-3-1, but it was nearer up a 4-2-2-2, Robert. And the problem is, when it goes left and right, you get the same problem as Billy's favourite setup. The midfield have got some amount of grunt to cover, and that's how in Danny Rowe's defence, he brings on Diamante, but he still carried on playing in the sort of Nadiri role. Well, for me, I wanted to go, he went to left half, either Raskin or Tucci goes in the middle, and the other one goes to right half, and he plays a 3, and we take a player each, and we kill them and stop them playing. But that's just me, Robert.
That's the way I was. I'd have set it up, mate. In fact, see, that's the way I'd have set it up going into the game. That was the way I said it on Friday night. I thought it would go, and I felt that would have been the better option, just to get the bodies in the middle of the park, particularly the way they set up and they play, because everyone does go through their middle, as you know from previous fixtures. But again, even when you do that, if you did have that 4-3-1-2 almost, or 3 whatever, 4-3-3, if Tochi was tiring, we didn't have that option on the bench to take him off and put in a like for like. It was always going to revert to that 4-2-3-1 look or 4-2-2-2 because of the personnel we've got available. So you can only do the formations and the setup with the personnel you've got. Now, I'm not saying that that's on Danny Rule not getting the players in January. January's a tough window. We've done well to get the 4 in that we did. But ultimately, you can only influence a game with who you've got on your bench. And I've already said it. The ones on the bench that didn't come off, none of them could play the same position or be game changers because we've not seen them consistently enough.
Everybody all right here?
Yeah, it's my wee dog. He's got a cough. Don't worry about him. He's like me. He's getting old. We worry about him. I'm outside
Rob,
under the beautiful moonlight night, yes.
Ox, can I just say something there regarding that? See a couple of times now, right? See that the game against Motherwell, game against Celtic there. Why are we not shoring up the midfield then? You know, why not stick an extra body in there? All right, maybe we're down to 10 men against Motherwell, right? But just to see the game out for the last 3, you know what? We'll just fire another body in the middle of the park there just to nullify it right now. See that. It's all right saying, he's maybe not get Robert said he's maybe didn't have the personnel to change it there. Why did he not play a fourth? Just stick an extra body in the midfield. You know, he could have brought Tavernier on, right, and put Tavernier into right back, right, and then brought Diamandi on as well, right, and pushed Sterling out one up to the right hand side and played a 4-5-1, right, and then
How can you not just put Tab on and play them in front of Sterling?
Well,
and Roma on and played in front of Romans.
Well, he could have done that as well. That's another option. You know, either or, it could have went either way. You know, or you know, when you see Maïdi's either the middle, you say to yourself, well, you know, I remember Dick Advocate played 2 guys at sweeper one game. I can't mind
that. Was in Monaco.
Monaco. Aye, 2 guy had a brilliant game because he recognised the pace of the centre forward. So he says, right, you know, and 2 guy slipped in there at sweeper, and the boy never got a kick at the ball. So, you know, why could he not have done that? You know, I mean, it's all
I would have done something like that
the game's played.
In the last 10 minutes, you know, but I wouldn't have done it. I mean, you couldn't criticise them for not changing anything up in the first hour. Yeah, I get it. The game started to go was about 50 minutes. But the second half had just started, just saying, right, if we see this wee bit of pressure, we'll get back in the game. And the goal changed it. That's the point, Bridgeman, isn't it?
Yeah, the goal did change it. That's the truth. But I have to agree with the guys. I've said it already tonight. Most of them have said similar as what I've been saying. When we're doing these substitutions, we're 2 goals up. The last thing we want to do is to kill our game. We want to go out and kill their game. And that's where you do it. You do it in the midfield. You do it in the midfield. Yeah, get another 2 midfielders in. No matter where you get them, I just heard you saying there, they could put Tav up in front of Sterling. Magic, yeah. But you're looking for bodies in the midfield to go and win the ball, because it's all about second ball, first ball. You've got to win the ball. And lots of passes come through, and we've got to block those spaces. And, you know, they've got a good reputation for passing football. It's at pace. And we don't seem to be able to, shall we say, kill that. And that's what you want to do. You want to put a couple of extra bodies in the midfield, in a particular shape, of course. Don't just throw them in. They must be able to play the type of football we want to play. When we get the ball, do we advance? Absolutely. Because we've got midfielders. Most of the midfielders, most of the people that play midfield can actually play football. And I mean that in the nicest possible terms. They can actually play football.
Are you saying that most of the people who play in midfield can play football, but most of the people that play centre halves can't play football? Is that the point?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. They can play football.
Okay, just wondered.
No, you're all right. Don't worry. I'm not going to go on to midfielders. I think we saw a midfield when midfielder come on and he played football. I have to be perfectly honest with you. I thought Diamandi was appalling when he came on. He didn't know what position he was going to play.
Playing, Bridge. I couldn't work out when he was playing.
No, he didn't know either. He just went on. If we're going to do that, then we was well just putting some of the biggest players we've got into midfield and pummel them, you know. But we don't want to do that. We want to be able to play football as well. Hold the ball, do intelligent stuff, play the ball, and run it across the back. You know, you run it when you do. I know it's very boring, but run across the back. What you do is you debilitate the other team. You drag all the field for living, you know.
Done that, Bridge. I'll be honest with you, I think that's where some of your problems come. Fernandez, when they got the ball forward quick in the first half, we played well. When we stopped getting the ball forward and they were getting caught and then we're delaying.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
I'm just meaning that when you put the extra men on, you can play across the park. If you don't, then you've got gaps, big gaps in your midfield, and it's panic stations.
When you're 2-0 up, mate, and you clear the ball and you get the ball down to the other end and you move your whole team up the park, Football's hard when you're playing against the clock, and we just didn't quite get there for them because we lost the goal, Billy, and then Bobja.
Aye, well, listen, right, surely the manager and the players must have knew that Celtic were all, after that first half performance, right? Celtic were was going to hear a spell. I was going to hear a spell in the game, right? And that's what the Rangers players, they should have been aware of that, and the manager should have told them to be aware of that. And to be honest with you, the manager shouldn't really need to tell them to be aware of that. They should know themselves that Celtic were going to come out in here half, can come out like that. They're 2-0 down, you know, they're chasing the game. They're going to go out in here a go. That's what Celtic do, you know. But see the bottom line here, Oxen, all right, we've got to be cuter than that. See when you watch teams, all the good teams, right? See when they get themselves under pressure, and even not just necessarily the good teams, right? See in Scotland, see when Rangers are trying to start to pummel teams, right? What do all these other teams do? You know, they go down, they pull fouls, you know, they'll roll about, they break the game up, they stop the momentum, the dark arts of the game. Why did we not do that on Sunday in that second half? Why did we not stop Celtic's momentum? You know, we going in just rolling about, stop it. Listen, get down, hold your face, you know, hold your ankle, get players roaring at the referee, hold on the route, just stop their momentum. You know, we didn't do that. You know, we're too, I think it was Big Stevie spoke about it and he was bang on. We're too nice at times in games. You know, we don't know the dark arts of football and they should know it. You know, but that's what we should have done under these circumstances on Sunday.
With a young teammate, what I will say is, if you keep the ball, you don't need to worry about all that stuff. Robert?
100%. 100%.
You do, mate. Ball retention is kind of the basics of football, really. As you say, your opposition can't score if you've got the ball and you're keeping it well in areas of the park away from your goal. It's simple. It sounds simple. But what I will say, in Billy's point, Billy, is one reason we never done the dark arts is because you knew we weren't going to get anything from the referee for it. And then all we're doing at times is they add the time on now. So that would just benefit them for extra time and injury time. You know what it's like, mate. They've been plus 10 in that board, didn't it, if we done that. But I take your point. Man managed the game. But the thing is, at half time, as Billy says, they reacted to what was happening on the pitch. We didn't need to make any changes at half time. We were on the ascendancy. We were the team in front. They had to change something, and they did. And Billy's right. It shouldn't take the manager to say they're going to come out here different. They might change it up. The players need to adapt quicker to that, and I don't think they did. And then obviously, as you're saying, Ox, they get the goal, and to get back into it, to get control again, when you've not adjusted to the change of shape, the change of tempo and pace that they've brought to the second half, we never got it. It never clicked back, and it's hard to come back from that.
Listen, how many times have you heard that Bobja 2-0's a dangerous score? Next goal changes the whole game. Yeah, and that's what happened on Sunday. It's not good to watch, and there's a lot of, you can pick out the bones of it. Should have done this, this, and this, but it's a game of football, and we've all been there, watched it, played in it. You're 2-0 up and coasting, the other team get a fluke and you're hanging on to your fingernails. It happens. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying I was disappointed, but that's the reality. Now, if we did get the next goal, I'm with Billy. If Roman scores that one just after half time, it sucks the life out of them. And it wouldn't matter who they had in the park. Bobja?
Aye, I would agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, you've seen overrated Tierney standing in the centre of your box with all that room again. With a simple header. That, to me, didn't even catch the header, right? But that's life. And you can't, a goal gives you momentum. And you're 2 down and you go back to 2-1. Oh, you've got the momentum. And they took the momentum with their advantage. We could have been beat there on Sunday, boys. They could have. They made whole 3 or 4 open chances against us. And that's the way you've got to look at it. We came out with it with a draw. Oh, okay, that's hindsight. That was a draw. Let's go this week and try again in a couple. We could have been beat there on Sunday. That's how poor we were in the second half. That's what's appalling everybody. We couldn't believe a Jekyll and Hyde performance for Rangers. Simply, it was a Jekyll and Hyde performance for them. But hey ho, we'll get to a point where it could have been a defeat in the second half because they had real momentum after they scored, and that did change the game up. That first goal of theirs did change the game, definitely. And we've just got to learn to try and organise ourselves, get better, and go again on Sunday and defeat them, because we can. We showed how far in front we were of them in the first half. Let's do it again, only do it for 90 minutes this time. I'm sure we can. So get unscurled.
Robert? Unscurled. Robert?
Listen, that's it, Bob. You can't look back. You've got to look forward, and you've got to say that the game on Sunday, is it arguably bigger because it's a cup game and you can put them out, and looking at who's available in the tie, you become possibly one of the favourites for the cup. Possibly. It's at Ibrox again. Yes, they're going to have an extra crowd allocation. It's a debate in its own accord. But you can go and play again. You play the way we played the first half. If that goes 3-0, the game's done. So we know we can get at them. But we need to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and allow them back into the game. I said it on Sunday, Bob G, and I'll say it again. They never won the second half. I feel we gave them the second half.
I agree with it. We were poor. We were terrible. I'm saying I couldn't string 3 passes together. Diamante, I didn't understand that substitution. He gave the ball away every single time. He got it. To me, by Rami would have been the better one in the middle of the park, because I thought he looked no bad when he came on at Livingston. It's a different game.
If you were going to bring Barami on, mate, for me it should have been with either for Mikey Moore or for when you brought on Gassama. And I'll tell you another thing that I might have done. See, with 5 minutes to go, I might have, if Gassama's still been on the bench and I've got Tam and I've got Montgomery on, I might have took Mitty off and put Gassama right up top, just with his running power, his pace. I know he's not going to go and do any flying headers. You never know. He might have done an overhead kick, Billy, but just his pace, mate, because they could have come up with Parkatron and told him, go out and use everything you've got for 10 minutes, shut everything down, leave nothing out there, and Harry and Hassel and Chase, and then you know if he gets the boys running away for the centre halves at that time of the game, Billy.
Aye, Gassama he's talking about, aye.
Aye.
Aye, well that's what my thoughts were too, like, you know, but listen, it all depends. I mean, what Gassama's got to turn up. You know, we don't know. Has he got to get in the hopper? You know, when you look at it, has he got to hear that? Oh, I'm just off the bench, you know, or it's 2-0. You know, they fancy this. You know, Celtic's got all the momentum. That's what you've got to consider there. You know, there's another one I know. You know, you've got Ant-Man there. He's fell right out the picture, hasn't he? And you've got Bajrami.
He's got a problem, mate.
Has he?
No, aye.
Well, you had Bajrami there and all. You had Bajrami there and all. I like Bajrami. You know, he can frustrate the life out of you at times as well. So, like the majority, in fact, no, the majority, all the rest of them can frustrate the life out of us all. You know, but Bajrami, I think Bajrami could have offered us something there doing that side of the park and all. You know, because as I said that before on the show, that up until he pulled his hamstring, I thought he was coming on to a right good game, you know, and it seems to me he's fell right out the picture for some reason. So that was another option we had down the right hand side. But listen, the cup game will take care of itself, you know, it'll be a ding dong. But we've just got to, I just hope that these Rangers players know what they're and they've get it into their heads, that they know that they can turn Celtic over, right? They've done it at Parkhead. They've battered them at Ibrox in the first half. They made mistakes in the second half. You know, surely, these professional football players would understand what they can do good and what they need to improve on. And if we take that into Sunday, we should win comfortably again, because, you know, we battered Celtic in the second half at Parkhead and we battered them in the first half. Just take that out onto the plate for 90 minutes, Rangers. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah, but there's another side to that coin. They battered us in the first half at their place and they battered us in the second half at our place.
Aye.
But you don't allow them to do that.
But they'll be saying the exact same thing. Wait.
Aye, well, maybe so. But then you've got to say to yourself, well, are you going to allow them to do that? That's the way when I played football, that was the way I was. You know, I wasn't letting anybody batter me about. I wasn't the biggest that played up front. You know, I used to get battered about into big centre halves. I wasn't caring. You know, if I took a kick, I had to take a kick. I've got a dullion down the back of my Achilles. I got a dullion down the back of my Achilles, but I got back up and I mixed it up with them again. And I made them let them know that I was in a game. That's what we should be doing. And that's what
I thought you were a
frustrates me.
midfielder, Billy. I thought you were a midfielder.
Oh, I
Intelligent enough.
I
He's
dropped back in,
intelligent enough to play in there, Bridge.
Bridge, I dropped back into that wee hole as I got older, mate.
Well said, pal. Well said. Brilliant. Brilliant.
But Billy, the trouble is, mate, if you done what Amy done, mate, you're locked up that tunnel, mate. You're locked up that tunnel.
Well,
very good.
Anyway,
Very good.
we've
I
reached
love
that
it, by
time
the
of
way.
the
I love
evening.
it.
We've reached that time of the evening. But listen, it's going to be interesting. It's thrown up some curveballs to talk about for next Sunday, mate. But we have to let it go. We have to move on. And by the way, it's a cup tie, so it's all about winning. You know, there's no second chances. And they've not really beat us in 90 minutes for over 2 years. And I hope we keep that run going. And we knock them out the cup in 90 minutes. And Sunday we can move on and get momentum out of these two games, which would be bizarre. But it could go the other way. And that really gives us a problem because some people have made their mind up. And I don't know why, because Danny Rose came in and headed their squad and improved us. And if he keeps improving us, that's his job. And if he brings in other personnel in the summer, I hope they're far better place. No making excuses for this patch, because let's be honest, it's not been good. Hibs, horrible. Livingston, the second half on Sunday. It ain't been good. You can't dress it up any other way. So at the right time, we've lost a bit of form. But last word for Bob Jar.
Well, thanks for having me again tonight, lads. A great discussion as usual. The overall picture is we're all hurt, angry and frustrated that we didn't win that game on Sunday after the first 45 minutes, but we didn't take enough of our chances. So therefore we dropped 2 points to them. I'm looking at this YouTube today and everybody and their granny's got Rangers out of this title race. No, they're no. No way. Don't be a long shot. We've got a cup tie coming up here on Sunday. Make it a ding-dong. Take your chances, Rangers, because they're nothing great, but they're there. That theory's been proved. Anyway, this is Bob Jar with a flu bug on the scunner, gone up the stair with a dog. Thanks again, guys.
Cheers, Bob, sir.
Billy?
Aye, cheers for taking my call, lads. Enjoyed my wee rant tonight. Listen, I'm not bound down to them. No chance. I've never bowed down to them in my life, and I'm not going to start now. And I just hope that every one of the Rangers players, I just hope that every one of the Rangers players who start the game on Sunday and who finish the game are the same. Don't bow down to them and don't give them an inch, Rangers. Thanks very much. Good night.
Yeah, maybe some of them might know more about it's about and what they're dealing with now. Robert?
Aye, cheers for having me on, mate. Good show, good discussion. Always a pleasure to do a show with yourself and the Bridge man. As I said, good discussions. I'm sure they'll rumble on for the rest of the week. And then we obviously build up to yet another Old Firm game. And as you say, it's a cup game. Treat it as a cup final and go and put them out.
Yeah, Bridgeman.
What can I say? That's been a fantastic show. Brilliant discussions. Some very controversial stuff, particularly from yourself, Oxchair. I think the crowd loved it. The crowd loved it. I think your selection of midfielders is quite poor, but then you were a midfielder yourself, so what can I say?
A very bad one,
Okay, can I just say, obviously, to yourself, Oxchair and Robert, thanks for having us with you and looking after me. And of course, the techie boys in the background. And then I'll say it again, or I'll say what Oxchair said earlier. A big shout out to Fox tonight. And can I just say to all the Rangers fans that are listening all over the world, biggest game of the season is coming up on Sunday. The biggest game of the season. Another tie with them. Let's do it, Rangers. Everybody keep it going for the Rangers, because they really need us.
Yeah. Thanks to Billy and Bob Jar for joining us. Who's that? Billy Bob Jar's. It's like an American country wrestling thing. I done it. Thanks to Bridge and Robert for doing the show. Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals. Can I just go with Bridge, my mate the Fox, legend. Can I thank everybody for listening. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers. Thanks for listening. Take it away, Old School Blue.